Oh, it's so beautiful. Hey guys, David Vose here. Oh man, the white flowers. There's some places there's a whole bunch of orange flowers, just orange. So the flowers are really beginning to come out and bloom. And it hasn't even started raining yet. Can't wait till it starts raining. I believe the grass gets real tall and green. Oh, it's so beautiful. Look at that. Just so neat. Ah, these trees, these pine trees look like little flower trees. They're just little beautiful flowers all over these. Oh, this reminds me of southern Idaho, where I used to live. It also reminds me of places like California, Tahoe, the big ponderosas. Places in Utah with all the rocks and stuff with a seal on top. That big one right there looks like a seal head or something, and the top looks like one. There's a hole on both sides of this rock. That is so weird. You know, I had a thought today, and I thought this was interesting. But a dear friend sent me an herb book, a plant book. It tells you all the plants, shows you pictures, tells you about them. It's quite a big book, and it's very extensive, and it's one of the best. I think it's the best I've ever seen on the subject. A lot of them are just little pocket books or something. You can't even see the pictures. These are big pictures, and they're in color. And whoever took the pictures of all the plants in this book, it's like they did it like genius, like they were a photographer, and like they spent so much time. I think the sun's setting over there behind the trees through the portal. Whoa. We gotta go see the sunset. Oh, I love this property. So neat. But it must have taken years to get these pictures. They took all these pictures themselves, or they didn't just go and scour the internet for pictures. Maybe they did, I don't know, but it didn't look like it. So when you look at the pictures, there's depth to it. They show you the thorns and the petals and the colors and the texture in such a way that you can really identify the plants. And I was going through them and it's like, oh, there's that one. Oh, there's that one. I've heard that one. Oh, I know that one. Oh, we got one of those, And it dawned on me that all these plants that you heard about, all these herbs, you're like, well, I couldn't learn all the herbs. There must be millions of them. There probably is. But not that many. This book is full of plants and herbs. Full of them, but not millions. There's, it's a book. It might be 1,000 or something. I don't know. But I got to looking at it and I got to thinking. But all of the plants that we see on a daily basis, just take wherever you live, like here. There may be thousands of different kinds of plants around here. But for the most part, you could count them. There's the ponderosa, there's the pinions, and there's the cedars, and a couple of different kinds of sagebrush, and certain types of grasses, and various flowers. There may be 200 different kinds of flowers that bloom around here. But I don't know. But I don't really think we need to go that deep. It could be, we could go deeper and find thousands and thousands, but this book, like I said, I don't know how many herbs and plants are in there, but it's there's not that many. I think you could memorize them if you studied that book. I know a lot of them already, but I want to learn the rest of them, and I'm so thankful for the book. But a lot of them were here in this area. They mention them in the book. And some of them aren't here, but were in places I've been before, like maybe Alabama or Idaho or somewhere, or Oklahoma. And I realized there's, you could memorize these 1,000 plants, whatever they are. I don't know if there's that many, 500 or something. And a lot of them you already know, you've seen before. You just need to memorize the name, but you've seen it before. You're recognizing it. You've been there. You witnessed them throughout your life. You know what they are. You've seen them before. They're very familiar. So it's like everywhere you go, every environment, whether it's a desert or the mountains or the plains or the oceans, there's a group, an ecological little paradisical garden. And there's various types of plants. There may be 50 different kinds that you could point out that you could get to know and be very familiar with in your neighborhood. And in everybody's neighborhood, they have some of the different plants, but they all do the same thing. So wherever you live, you're probably going to find one plant that you could use for taking away pain, for instance. One of them might be for inflammation, or helping you sleep, or arthritis, or one of them might be good to open your mind and take you to a higher place. So some of them are more, what I think is more base material. They fix the body. Because that's all the body is a bunch of vibrations. And these plants are certain vibrations, like tunes, little harmonies. We got to become harmonized. We need vibrations. And I suspect that this vibration is a pure and whole vibration. And this particular vibration, we don't need a lot of it, but a very small amount of it can balance you in some part of your body that you're not, when you get imbalanced in some particular way. So I feel like there are plants that heal the body, but I feel like there's a lot of subtle plants, little flowers. I think flowers, because they're so beautiful, I think that's where the key lies. Because in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, it says, I give you the plant or the tree with the offspring, with the seed therein for food. So I look at all of this as energies. This is a swirling vortex, like an energy field. And in this energy field, and they even call it a field. So it's like this language, I don't know who created our language, but if you could go deeper in the language, you'd find that it speaks of a higher truth within the language that we speak. But we're speaking on the lower levels here and understanding it lower. But in this field of vibrations, there are lots of fruits, which are probably the part of the vibration that you could take from a certain plant and not destroy the whole swirling vortex of that particular. So I notice that there are rings in the trees, tree rings. It's a vortex. You see a lot of trees that the branches will grow kind of like this way, and then the other one, as you go up higher, will go that way, and it go all the way around like the petals on a flower. But the trees themselves are like blooms, like vortices of energy. And then, like a big hurricane, it has these other little tornadoes spinning off of it, the flowers. And those flowers of the same variety or kind or vibration from the mother. And so we can't eat the whole tree. You only get bits and pieces of it, maybe the base part, the violent part of the storm. But you want that part of the plant that's got the DNA, where it's the pattern that you need for balance. So I think it's all there in the fruit and in the seed. Probably can't digest seeds very well, so we have to, it's probably designed, we're supposed to eat the fruit, which I call, we call it fruit, but I don't think it means what we think of as fruit today, because when you say fruit to people, they think of a sweet thing like apples and bananas and oranges and pears. I don't think they lived, those are hybrids. The real fruit is this. And yeah, you probably can't eat that for dinner, but that particular vibration is going to bring harmony. You need the whole harmonious environment. You need to live in harmony with all of it. So some of it's for teas, some of it's for building muscle, cartilage or tissue of fat, energy. Some of it is for smaller pieces, particles like hormonal particles, little photons that are coming into your, inspiration, feeding your mind. It keeps us on a positive, flowing vibration that is not like a top that starts losing speed and then it falls over. It has no more energy. So it seems like a lot of the people today, And well, a lot of all the things that we're eating in the stores is dead food. And what is a chemical? It's negative energy. Now, therefore, it's not complete. Why would it be negative? Because a complete fruit would have the positive and negative, the whole vortice, a balanced energy. But if you were to dissect it, pull something off of it, just one chemical out of the other chemicals that make up the structure, the molecule, then it's by nature negative. Because if you have something in you that's whole, it'll have negative and positive. So it'll flow from one end to the other and you got flow. But if you only have part of the vortice, then it's like, okay, imagine this. Let's say in your body you need all the elements. The higher elements are lighter, like air, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and gases and stuff like that. Now, we need a lot of that, an abundance of air. We breathe air. It's very light. Where bodies, they say your body's made up of water, but it's really made up of air. And truth is, it's made up of nothing. It's made up of energy. But at the top of the elemental chart is the highest in that elemental charge, like helium and hydrogen. And it seems like when we breathe air, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of nitrogen in the air. It may be in the form of hydrogen and oxygen, H2O. But as soon as the lightning bursts in the sky, it releases nitrogen. So it does something to the molecules. It breaks them up and then it turns into different... it's just energies. It just changes the energy. Well, that goes all the way down. We start getting to, in the middle, you have fluid. And so that's water. Well, I was saying H2O. What I meant before was air, which is just oxygen and hydrogen and nitrogen stuff in the air. But then you get down to water and it's H2O. So it's now got hydrogen mixed with oxygen. And in the water, there are other minerals. There are all the trace minerals. But our body is balanced. So they say we're carbon based. Well, carbon is like in the middle. The number for that element is 6. The number of man, we're made out of carbon. But carbon's not oxygen, and it's not lead or plutonium or uranium. It's not real heavy. Somewhere in the middle. We have we're made of air. We've got way more air because you can get a lot of air in space. And everything's made of air. Everything's made of nothing. But as it gets more electrical charge, it brings in, it's like gravity, it's pulling in the mass. It's becoming heavier. All that means is it's got a more electrical charge, so it's a force. It's a harder force. It becomes what we think of as hard, when all it really is just a force. So our body has bones and calcium and iron, a little iron and all kinds of things. We have everything. We have to have all the minerals. But it all flows through fluid, flowing. As a fluid, we can see it flowing. But when it goes beyond the spectrum, the light spectrum, and it becomes air, we don't necessarily see it. But now it's really flowing. The air is still flowing. Everything's going from the bottom like a conduit from the ground to the positive. So positive is the highest thing that we can understand is light. And light warps and bends, and it bends because of gravity, pulling, lust, thought, will pulls these energies, these images into a picture and holds it in the form. But the entire thing is a flow of energy. So we're living in a whole world. The whole world's a whole. And it's balanced. And there's negative and there's positive. If it wasn't negative and positive, nothing would grow. Nothing would be alive. Living is energy flow. Stagnation is death. So we have to eat not chemicals or part of a food. We need to eat balanced energy. So, for instance, you wouldn't want to eat something very acidic. It will burn you, cause inflammation, and you can die. You would have to find something at a pH level at 7.5 or whatever they have, whatever they say it needs to be. A balanced pH. All of these thoughts and ways of talking that we have to explain it is just various parables to explain something we don't really understand. It's like a language to help us understand the world we live in, which is just energy. It's mind, thoughts. If you are very positive, if you have a strong will, then you can literally, your vortice, when you have that positive flow of energy, there has to be this backup of negative energy flowing in. So the biblical axiom, if you give, you shall receive. If give is positive. If we learn to give physically, throw our bread, cast our bread upon the waters, not many days it shall return to us. Give and you shall receive. Forgive and you shall be forgiven. We love because he first loved us. This is the principle. We're living in a negative form of that, an eye for an eye and tooth for tooth, and that just is valid. But it's in that negative area where it's just dying. You don't rise your consciousness up to a level of higher thought where you're aware and conscious of anything. You're in this stupor. So I think that we can't ever die, but we can stop being positive and thinking about wonderful, beautiful things. We can make chaos, which disturbs us, disturbs the mind. It causes pain. We don't want to live in pain, so we can't physically eat poison. But at the same time, far more important than not eating poison is not allowing the negative thoughts and things going through our mind to take any habitation. I truly do believe that is what it means by casting out the demons. And I did a video yesterday, which only so far about 1,000 people have went and seen, and that may be about all of it that will go. I'm hoping that more people will eventually see that, because I talk about what demons are, where they came from. And I believe it's valid, everything I say in there. I think it's very revelatory to understand what angels are and demons. Demons are us if we make the wrong choices and we have consequences that aren't good, and we're going to suffer, and we lose out on the beauty, the harmony. We don't get to play that beautiful song on the harp, the 10 strings. But we're just wandering, chaotic minds that can't hold a pattern. So we're not going to come into the light, where the light bends and makes beautiful patterns. And all these patterns of vibrations and energies that are they're balanced and whole and beautiful, make order out of chaos. But what I'm saying is that whole video I did takes it from the point of view of kind of in a literal sense, because we are literally here on this earth, at least in our consciousness as we understand it. And I believe this isn't just some abnormal, it's reality. We are conceiving of this, and therefore this is our reality. The universe isn't, I say that it doesn't exist, it's energy. Energy exists. It's just that we see it as forms, but it's really, if we want to understand what it is, it's mind. Mind with negative and positive. The form and the energy that makes the form. So the negative is the material. So that's why you don't need a lot of gold in your body. They're trace minerals. You need a lot of oxygen. You need a lot of positivity. But since it's a whole, you need a piece of everything. You need negative as well, because otherwise you wouldn't have a flow. So you're bouncing off the negative and you're going forward. You're giving and then you're receiving. So we're going to have some of that negative. We're going to have the gold and all that. But what I'm saying is that if you stop and think about the reality that we live in, how for thousands of years the plan is that this is real, that gives me solace to know that this is not just some, like Elon Musk says, we're in some sort of simulation, and the odds that we're in baseline reality is 1 in a gazillion. And I don't agree with him. Because, as he knows, he's contradicting himself. And I think he either is ignorant, which I doubt it, or they're just lying to us. They've developed this model that they're telling us, and they don't, on one hand, they tell us, oh, it's deeper than you understand. This is all just energy. And they tell us that particles are no more real than wavelengths. Waves or particles, they act as waves, energy waves, as well as particles. But then later on they proved scientifically that only it acts as a particle if you observe it. When you're not observing, it's just an energy. It's just... So anyway, I'm getting a little deep there, but some of you may know what I'm talking about. But so we're in reality. It's just that we can rest our mind and stop manifesting and creating for a while and go into rest. We have the Sabbath. And when we sleep, we're still creating in our mind, but we're creating, planning, going over the details, going over the files, computing and putting it together and learning from it. And then when we wake up, we use that information to make more reality, which is then really just all of the thoughts and plans that we've had that we've decided on keeping. You know, we get rid of the monsters, we throw them in the bottomless pit in our subconscious, and we forget about it. We move on. It's not what we're after. We're looking at beauty. We're wanting love. The fear and all of that is the past. So we're living in reality. We're not, it's the present reality for us, because it's where we are in our consciousness. The only other reality that exists is the past and the future. In the past, we were even less organized. We came from the abyss. We evolved from the fish, the mammal, the bird, or the birds, the mammals, and men. But in the future, infinitely in the future, all of this is going to be even more brilliant and fantastic. We're going to go into the light, into the source, the baseline reality, which is the mind of the universe that already, for all of eternity, the present existence, reality beyond time and space, all the energies in its perfect harmonious form, which is the Lord, the divine. We are that divine, but in some other space and time. So if it's in some other time, it may be in the past, underdeveloped. It hasn't opened like a flower fully. When the flower fully opens, it becomes a secret that is manifested to another higher form of life. The bee comes and partakes of that form and incorporates those forms into itself, and now it becomes a living thing and it flies away. And this keeps going all the way up the scale till we get to humans, and we finally come to a place where after we've eaten the animals and we've incorporated it and we've got the pleroma in us, we're trying to get back to the source, find out reality, the real baseline reality, which exists right now, right here, but we're not conscious of it. And what does that mean? It just means we're in the past, because baseline reality is the future. It's the potential. It doesn't exist yet because we haven't thought of it yet. So there are no quantum worlds, or as they say, multiple dimensions. The idea of the Mandela effect is impossible. You can't change reality. Reality is what we believe. It's as firm as a mountain. It cannot be moved except for with mind, and mind does it by thinking and learning. And as we grow and learn, we speak with the mouth and we command, and we, with our will, it eventually changes forms. We can uproot the tree. Jesus cursed the fig tree because that was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and it wasn't producing good fruit. So he said, with your mind, you can literally tell that tree that is the tree of knowledge, that consciousness that you're living in, that has this ecological habitat where all the birds dwell in the branches, and the animals scurry and take refuge under the shade of the tree, and the squirrel lives in the branches and the holes, and the little nuts fall down and feed the animals, and the ecology has certain grasses and everything is living in this particular habitat, and that all exists on a mountain, and the mountain is very firm, and it's lifted up, and it's getting rain from the heavens, and it's coming and receiving, and it's giving and creating. But there's only one reality. We couldn't possibly be in that because this is a world that's dying. So it's temporary, it's an illusion. So of course, I mean, these people, these scientists are trying to say, oh, we're living in some sort of computer chip that somebody made. It's not base reality. That's ridiculous. There's only one reality, the reality of the divine mind. And we're connected to that one reality. That's why there's gravity. There's certain laws that apply even here. But we're navigating this one reality. Some of this reality we're not aware of any right now. We're not able to see it. And some of it we're just imbalanced, so we don't feel it. We're not getting the vibrations that we need. We're not holistically whole. So we're not. When we finally learn the secrets of nature, this is what we were talking about to start with. We know the secrets that are hidden in nature, and what each tree is for, what each herb is for. We are going to learn that there are probably hundreds more different varieties of plants that if harvested in a particular way or processed in a certain way, can literally open your mind to that one reality. Even while you're standing in this reality. Because there is no place to go. There is no other reality. We're here. This is reality. We're just not seeing it. Just like the dogs, they have eyes. So they're advanced beings. They have mouths. A little worm, all it's got is skin. Well, some worms have a little mouth. They don't have eyes. Bats don't have. They have different advancement of their consciousness. You start off with no senses. You're not aware of anything. A tree is aware. When the tree stands there and a blistering chemical hits it, it shrivels the tree up. It reacts, just like touching. And the leaves are like little satellites that receive sunlight and nutrition, and it grows and it's alive. But it's not fully conscious. It's part of the whole, but it's not one whole of itself. It's not another creation like cells that divide off and they're whole and complete and they all exactly like the other cells, and they go off and it's the same exact thing but in another space or in another time. So this is why we were made in the image of the divine. We're just like our Heavenly Father and our Heavenly Mother. They are whole. They're one. And they had children, and we're the children, and we're whole, and we're just duplicates, and we can coexist in this universe with them because we're connected. We're part of that one real base reality that was thought of and designed and created by our Heavenly Father and Divine Mother. They manifested it, and we are an offspring of that. We're duplicates, and we're living in it, but we're not yet capable of being fully conscious of all the reality that our Heavenly Father and Mother are able to see. The dog is advancing. He's got his eyes, but he's still on his 4 legs. He doesn't stand erect. He's not advanced to the point of being human. He's developing. He's an embryo, or I should say he's like the DNA that's got all the potential, but certain things activate it. Like sunlight, vitamin D3, activates your DNA, your hormonal, responses and chemical responses in your body that open the flower, and we begin to, over aeons, as we learn and expand our awareness, the DNA is what's expanding, it's opening, and we're becoming more aware. And we're now able to see more of that reality. But I do believe that this entire universe this earth is a microcosm of the macrocosm. So everything is whole, it's complete here. Everything you'll ever need is right here within you. It's all there within you. The kingdom is within you and around you. It's everywhere. And it says that our Heavenly Father, divine being, is in all, through all, and above all. So anywhere we are, we have access to the one base reality, which is the divine mind. We get inspiration, we have revelation, we have flashes of energy and harmony. But if we're in this physical world, incarnated in the lower outer forms, and we're evolving consciously to try and become more aware of higher forms, then the only reason we're not in base reality or the source is because we're just not aware of it yet. We're growing. The more we become aware of it, it takes millions of years. Your body manifests appropriately as you become more aware. So in another lifetime, you come back as a higher form until we eventually become the image of the divine, which is a human. The highest form of consciousness in the universe is human, because we can love and we can have life within ourselves and we can be aware of others, have sympathy and empathy. But I do think, though, that in spite of that, we could speak a word and be right there in that higher consciousness in theory, except that we're not. Sometimes our spirit is trapped in a body that doesn't have the capability of seeing ultraviolet light. So we wouldn't be able to be aware of it because we can't see it, we can't sense it. Now we could close our eyes and understand it as humans and know it's there. We have the evidence, but we don't visibly see it with our physical eyes. This is why we have to use our spiritual eyes to understand what we're talking about here. But what I'm saying is even though we may not be aware of the base reality, we are a part of base reality. This tree, this type of tree, this beautiful form, it's a pattern that was created by the Lord, each in its own kind. It exists in the base reality. It exists here, it exists there. The divine being dwells and lives here. But when a perfected, exalted human being living in this world has more knowledge, and they're able to access these portals to higher understanding and consciousness by eating herbs and certain things. But if we get imbalanced and we're going around, eating rocks, we can get sick and we can physically die. But the idea that we're not living in base reality, that this isn't the real world, it is. There is no where, there's no place. There's no other dimension except there's this dimension, which is present time, in our consciousness, present in our consciousness. Our Heavenly Father is conscious of much more, of all time altogether, every place. The divine, mind of the universe is conscious of the entire universe, in the past, in the future. We're not. We're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be. We don't want to be everything. We want to experience each thing one at a time. We want to have knowledge, gnosis. We want to go through the universe. But the highest place you can be in this world is a human that stands on 2 feet and has understanding and can see the lower elemental patterns and also experience higher consciousness. So there isn't another universe. You look at the stars out there. I don't know if there's any stars popping out yet. There's a lot of clouds, but each of those stars are, like, some of them are a million light years away. A lot of the flat earthers say, oh, that's ridiculous, it can't be that far. Well, it is, because that's just a way to understand it. We're just saying, oh, it's this many miles. Well, there's no miles. It's miles is a measurement that we use on Earth. In other words, it's in another time. That is another dimension. What is those dimensions? It's everything that we have here, the same reality, but in another space. And therefore, because of it's so far away, it's another time. So it may be the future or the past. Maybe perhaps when you look at a microscope and you look into inside the elements and these little worlds that exist in there, and all the swirls and vortices and vibrations, infinitely going into the depths of the inner world. Maybe that's the past. Maybe we lived in there at some point. We were once elemental, and we went from being element to chemical, to plants, to animals. We evolved through that. But once you reach perfection, you're aware of all of the surroundings, the whole, then you're able to go out. Oh, there's the moon coming right there, and another star shining right through the clouds. Then we're able to duplicate the whole. This is the whole. Everything's here. The earth is complete. It is our home. It is the absolute base reality in our present. I believe this is base reality. But we are in this whole seed. This is the whole thing. It's one seed. The DNA in that will open up infinite and blossom and grow and potentially become So beautiful, the eye has never seen, the ear heard, the depth, the width, the breadth, the height. We don't know how far it can bloom, how advanced it can become. But it is the reality. The only thing is we're in a specific period of time here. Those stars that are out there are duplicates, just like the cells in our body. They're duplicates of this. And so it's not another world, it's this world, but in another time and space. And though it may be bigger, larger, wider, more fluid, more hard, it may be different on that planet than in this planet. But it's just this planet, the same elements, where life has evolved and advanced and bloomed and opened further or lesser. So you see a tree, it's very beautiful. It looks like it's complete. Why? This is done here. Look at this. It's got form. Everything has its beauty, and it's a complete tree. But it's not fully bloomed until the flower comes. And then even then, after the flower, then there's the fruit. Now that's as far as it goes. It blossoms and it has a fruit. Then the fruit falls down and dies and produces another. Exactly the same. It's the same base reality, but in another time or place, another space. So base reality is the divine being. Science, Elon Musk doesn't want to believe in the divine being. We are one with the divine being. So we are in base reality. It's just that we're not conscious fully of everything that the divine being is, all of its potential. I hope I was able to explain that. I feel like I kind of fumbled it a little bit. It's kind of hard to on the spur of the moment, just to kind of say these things in such a way that it really makes sense and ties all this together. And I had no notes or anything. These are just things coming to my mind, things I think about. But getting back to what I was saying, and then I'll close on this, guys. It's getting dark. There's the moon. I truly believe that the answers to all of our problems is mind, of course. Positive knowing and awareness. Positive love, goodness. And having experience and growing and knowing our potential. Have no fear. We're immortal. We don't have to be afraid. Nothing bad can ever happen to us. The negative thoughts are from an imbalance, because somebody has gotten us off kilter. We're living in a perfect balanced world. All we need to do is find the secrets. There's harmony in this world. You don't eat the pine needle, but you might make a tea with it. If you didn't know that and you tried eating that, you might get sick. But are we sick? Are we as humans just sick? No. But we might be deceived. We haven't yet become aware. So becoming aware, and knowledge is power, as they say, and knowledge is the thing that we need to get. And the secrets and the mysteries, we haven't even begun to crack it. There's so many beautiful plants and things. I just want to know because how many people do you know that could tell you, well, those little cones that we were looking at look like little flowers. Okay, what are they for? What specifically is that vibration going to do for me? Because I'm a whole being, and this is part of my body, right? This is part of my outer manifestation. I'm manifesting this. My center is my sun, my mind. If I didn't have access to my eyes, I couldn't see. If I didn't have access to my feet, I couldn't walk. Well, this is part of me. If I don't have access to it, if I don't know it exists, now, you can be a paraplegic, still live, but it's not as good. You need to be whole. So we're not whole yet. We are in ignorance. We don't know the plants. It's that simple. We need to know what secrets these plants hold. Some of these plants aren't just for building the body tissue and muscle and bone. Some of them are for opening portals in our mind and giving us revelations. I talk about the Amanita muscaria. That is an amazing mushroom that it opens a portal to places that are incomprehensible to most people. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and we need to learn more about it. But it's like in this world, they've forbidden us to use these herbs, and they've taken this knowledge away from us. This is why I love this book that was sent to me. And I'm going to learn all the plants in there, and I'm going to, just as I do, like with the Bible or anything else, I'm going to study it and try to understand it, even beyond what people are talking today in the world about plants. I want to go further, one step further. I want to make sense out of the whole thing. Not just the plants, but the earth and the wholeness and the mind and the reality around everything, the purpose for it all, the meaning of it all. I guess the reason we want to know is because we want to find beauty. That's why people paint or sing songs. They want to make the notes harmonize. Makes you cry. It brings emotions. Emotions are beautiful. But you got to be very careful with emotions, because if you use deception, you can mesmerize people, you can deceive people. But I'm telling you that we can unlock our potential as humans right now. We're at that point now where we can start unlocking our potentials, becoming telepathic, manifesting a better world. And I do believe the 144,000 are going to do that. Anyway, it's getting dark. It's getting hard to see even with this camera. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing off and upload it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you have a wonderful day. Lord bless you.